Have you ever seen a family so powerful, so polished, so impossibly classy in public, and then suddenly one tiny crack appears and the whole thing starts collapsing like a biscuit left out in the rain? Because that's exactly what's happening inside the British monarchy right now. What you're about to hear, honestly, if you wrote this as a Netflix plot, people would call it too unrealistic. But here we are, in real life, watching the palace practically set itself on fire. So buckle up, grab a tea, maybe grab something stronger if you're not in the UK. And hey, if you enjoy sinking your teeth into royal madness, don't forget to subscribe, because this story is a full buffet. Now, let's dive into the moment everything cracked. It started with a speech, not a normal speech, not a happy holidays from the royal family or a we're visiting Wales next week speech. This one shook Buckingham Palace right down to the bricks. I am deeply aware of this great inheritance and of the duties and heavy responsibilities of sovereignty. The tone alone was enough to send chills down spines. Charles wasn't playing. His voice had that weird mix of royal composure and an I'm about to drop a bomb energy. He looked exhausted, not just tired from illness, but tired in that way someone looks when they finally decide to stop pretending. Then the hammer fell. Effective immediately, Camilla Parker Bowles is no longer Queen of the United Kingdom. The room didn't breathe for a full second. Even the walls seemed to flinch. William's jaw tightened. You can see it if you slow down the broadcast footage. Catherine's hand found his under the table, white-knuckled but steady, like she was bracing him in place. And the question that hit everyone instantly was, what on earth happened? What could make Charles, who waited literally 70 decades for this crown, toss his marriage and his entire royal structure into the fireplace? The answer: yeah, it's messy and twisted and honestly kind of heartbreaking. And it starts with a betrayal buried under medical files, encrypted calls, and a plot so bold it borders on cinematic villain territory. But before we unpack that, have you ever trusted someone so deeply that the idea of them scheming behind your back feels almost impossible? And then, boom, you find out they were basically writing your downfall while smiling at you over breakfast? That's exactly the energy inside Buckingham Palace right now. Let's rewind to that historic announcement. The atmosphere was suffocating, crimson drapes swallowing sound, portraits of dead monarchs staring like, really? This is what the family's doing now? The whole palace felt like it was holding its breath. Charles, frail but still somehow steely, approached the lectern. The lights hit the hollows under his eyes, the fatigue carved into his face. You could see the weight of illness and betrayal on him. He talked about his health first, steady voice, no fear, no wobble, a man fully aware his time was limited. Then, the line that made journalists practically fall out of their chairs: I am abdicating the throne. Phones exploded. Reporters scrambled like someone dropped free diamonds on the floor. Abdication is a word so loaded in royal history, it might as well come with a siren. But Charles wasn't done. His gaze cut toward Camilla, and oh boy, she was glowing in emerald green like she thought this was going to be her big supportive wife moment. She looked ready for applause, maybe ready to dab one proud tear. And then Charles dropped the real nuke. Queen Camilla is hereby stripped of all royal titles and privileges. Boom. End of composure. End of facade. End of everything she built. William's jaw tightened. You know that look someone has when they're trying to stay calm but their mind is screaming? That. And then came the accusation, the one that turned this from embarrassment into outright scandal. Camilla was accused of falsifying the king's medical records, manipulating his diagnosis, and pushing quietly for a shadow regency to take over the monarchy while Charles was too sick to fight it. That's not just betrayal, that's practically a royal mutiny. If you watch her reaction in the footage, you can pinpoint the second she realizes the game is over. Her handkerchief slips, her eyes widen, not with fear, with shock, like she genuinely didn't expect Charles to find out, or maybe didn't expect him to have the strength to expose her. Honestly, imagine the coldness required to manipulate the medical records of your spouse, a spouse who's fighting cancer. Imagine convincing his doctor to help engineer your rise to power. People in the room weren't breathing, reporters were shouting, palace aides were scrambling like someone dumped 1,000 papers on the floor. Meanwhile, William and Catherine left so fast it looked like they were escaping smoke, and in a way, they were. Outside the palace, the world erupted. Half the country praised Charles, finally a king with backbone, finally someone choosing justice. The other half whispered, "This feels too convenient. Is this a William power move? Is this illness cover for a palace coup?" Everyone picked a side, everyone blamed someone, and not one person had the full story. So, let's go back to the beginning, 7 days ago. Sandringham, Charles and Camilla's wedding anniversary weekend. Peaceful, rustic, quiet. It should have been romantic. Charles even prepared a gift, a brooch he picked himself, wrapped in velvet. He was ready to give something thoughtful, tender, intimate. He walked down the hall, lantern light, portraits of ancestors, that whole royal ghost house vibe. Not a king, not a public figure, just a husband. Then he heard her voice. Calm, too calm. Sharper than normal, authoritative in a way that didn't sound like, "I'm concerned about my husband," more like, "I'm directing a corporate takeover." I want it to sound more critical than it actually is. Severe exhaustion, indefinite rest required. She was talking to Dr. Harland, Charles's personal physician, the man he trusted with his literal life. Charles's heart stopped. He stood frozen, listening to his wife essentially craft a false diagnosis to push him out of power. And she wasn't done. She called someone else, excited this time. Then we move forward. I need the documents for changes within the Royal Committee prepared immediately. We cannot allow those indecisive fools to obstruct us. That wasn't concern. That wasn't love. That was a power grab. Charles dropped the gift. The velvet box landed silently, but in his head it sounded like glass shattering. He left quietly, broken but not defeated, because that moment flipped a switch. Charles decided to investigate. Behind the scenes, he accessed confidential files. He found 2 medical reports, one real, one doctored. The real one said he was stable. The fake one said he was practically incapable of ruling. He brought William and Kate into the loop. Kate, being Kate, found email trails at weird hours, coded messages, hidden attachments, one named Plan B. Like, could they be more suspicious? Then, William found the smoking gun, a recorded call of Camilla instructing Harland exactly how to exaggerate the king's illness. Charles didn't rage. He didn't yell. He asked to speak to Camilla privately, calmly, directly, gave her a chance to confess. She denied everything, smoothly, tearlessly, strategically. That was the moment Charles knew. Neither his marriage nor his monarchy could survive her. So he made 2 decisions. He would abdicate, and he would expose the truth publicly. What followed was history. William crowned, Catherine crowned, crowds cheering, a monarchy reborn out of ashes. But while Charles celebrated, Camilla left the palace quietly. No ceremony, no farewell, just a car to a remote manor in silence. Charles withdrew too, not in disgrace, but in peace, writing, reflecting, healing, finally living without the weight of crown or conspiracy. But here's the twist everyone forgets. While Charles fought Camilla, Kate was fighting someone entirely different, Meghan. The DNA conspiracy that tried to undermine Prince George? Yeah, that was real, and Kate shredded it piece by piece. Forged tests, shadowy labs, money traces, encrypted messages, testimony from a terrified facility director, all pointing to a plot designed to cast doubt on George's lineage. Kate confronted it head-on with fresh DNA tests, 99.99% match. End of story. William stood by her. The world watched Meghan go pale on live stream, and that was the end of that. Now the monarchy stands transformed, stronger, more transparent, tougher than before. Charles sacrificed everything, love, reputation, legacy, to make sure William inherited something clean.
And now, the question, was Charles's choice justice or hurt? Was this duty at its highest or revenge at its coldest? Honestly, tell me what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and trust me, the debates get wild. If you enjoyed the ride through this chaos, hit like, share this with someone who loves royal drama as much as you do, and subscribe because these palace storms, they are not slowing down. Thanks for being here, really.